Hi everybody, Jarrod Hudson, Golden Harvest Agronomist in Central Illinois, talking to you again from a soybean field to give an update as to what we're starting to see around the countryside now that some of the earlier soybeans are getting to that V1, V2 time frame. A lot of post herbicide applications are starting to be made. And what we're starting to see is some leaf burn and injury, especially from some PPO herbicides that are applied post. We can also see some of that same leaf burning from crop oils or surfactants that might be added. But in general, the calls that I've been getting more on are related to the PPO herbicides. And as you can see behind me, this field doesn't have a lot of dark green, lush looking soybean plants to it. They're all pretty crispy looking. And that's because this field did have a PPO herbicide, but it also had a higher load of crop oil than intended, so it made that burn even more intense. But the one thing we wanted to talk about is what to expect with these PPO herbicides and the burn that we might see, when we might see that, and how to evaluate. So this field had the herbicide applied about a week ago in conditions when we were a lot warmer than we've been and humidity levels started to increase. So we're going to see some burning, whether it's just speckling on leaves or entire burn of the unifoliate leaves or trifoliates. When we get warmer conditions, so the mid to upper 80s with higher humidity, and then especially when those applications are made on extremely sunny days, it's going to make that burn intensify a little bit more and become more prevalent. It's expected to see a little bit of this with PPO herbicides applied late after emergence. It's not a cause for concern in every case, but when we have fields like the one I'm in where the plants did struggle to emerge, their growth rate was already hindered, it wasn't able to metabolize that herbicide as well, plus we have another stressor of crop oil thrown on top of that, we can have some cases where we get some plant death. Again, that's not an every time occurrence, but it is something that can happen. When you look at the plants that I have here, you're going to notice some of these leaves with the necrosis and the burn, those leaves are going to die. But the main thing to look at when you're looking at any of these PPO injuries, these are going to be contact injuries. So the leaves that were exposed when that application was made are going to be the ones with the damage. So you always want to look at your new growth. And if your new growth is healthy and nice and green, no issues, that plant is going to survive and be all right. And like with this plant here, it lost its unifoliate leaves because of that burn. But again, its new growth is still coming out. It's going to be all right. And we might even see some cases where that terminal growing point or the terminal bud, that top growing point, maybe has injury to it. Those top leaves fall off. But any spot where there are branches that attach to the main stem is a secondary growing point just waiting to start off. So we might see new growth starting there, and that is another sign that that plant will still survive and be all right. Another thing that you can do if you get in a situation where there's excessive burn or the plants were on the smaller side and aren't metabolizing that herbicide as well, you can split open the stem of the plant, and if the tissue in the middle of the stem is nice and green, looks healthy, that tells you that there's still life in that plant and that one of those buds will most likely start a new shoot. Even if you have a Y-shaped plant at the end of the growing season, you're still going to have a plant there. But if that tissue in the middle of the stem is starting to look very pale, have kind of a tan color to it, that tells you that that's going to lead to plant death on a certain plant like that. So you might lose a few plants here and there. Overall, this shouldn't be a widespread concern. We're going to have some fields that look a little ugly for a little while, but if we have some ideal growing conditions, a decent shower of rain on the field after application, the plants will grow out of this and look fine in about a week, 10 days. I hope that helps, and hope you have a great rest of the spring.